Testing, 1, 2, 3.
You've got all your Charger gear on because...
I look good. Hey, bite down from play one now.
And he is dicked.
Those guys don't all suck.
I love you too. Bye.
You have to love what you're seeing on tape if you're a Chargers fan, especially for the future with Justin
Herbert on the move and throws and touchdown.
You don't let all the noise affect you. You don't worry about what's going on outside of the field.
Oh, yeah. Stay tuned for some good content.
Well, hello there, folks. Welcome back to the Charger Chat. I'm your co-host, Wooldog, now separated by hundreds of miles from my co-host like Kev Huggin Duggan.
Yeah, I miss you guys. I miss your musk.
That scent. Ooh de woolly.
Oh, de woolly.
Kyle the coach Duggan.
What's up, guys? I normally going into an off season, it's like, oh, this sucks. But it's like there's so much that's gonna happen. Hopefully we have a lot to talk about. Hopefully news pretty soon. Man, it's like exciting, scary, nervous, all wrapped up into one little off-season present.
It's like a normal Sunday for us. Scary, nervous, exciting.
It is. It's a typical Sunday because, boy, I mean, we did this last episode in Kansas City because we wanted to do it with all the co-hosts together to chat and look each other in the eye. But man, as soon as I landed back in Idaho, I get the news that Anthony Lynn has been officially fired. So obviously, yeah, all of you guys listening, I'm sure, like, it's old news, guys, but like, hey, we haven't had a chance to chat about it yet.
We haven't. Yeah, I landed in Arizona for my layover, and as soon as I throw my like service back on, boom, it popped up, and I about screamed on the plane because I had the really good gut feeling that he wasn't going to get fired.
Right.
Yeah,
you were
that
so
gut feeling
wrong.
very long.
Yeah.
No,
I think I was just being salty and didn't want Kevin to be right, so I just went with the opposite.
I know. You went so hard left it was wrong.
Yeah. So whatever. You blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
That's right.
I find a lot of nuts for blind squirrel though. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah, you do. Search for them.
All right. Enough about these nuts that I keep hearing about. Let's see. So it officially came out. Anthony Lynn has been fired. They let him go very gracefully. Social media was also very cool. Put out a nice video just kind of highlighting Lynn and everything he's done for the team and the community.
That video kind of got me in the feels a little bit. Did you guys feel?
Yeah, not gonna lie.
Like it reminded me of like the 12-4 season and like going to the playoffs and being so high on him. It's like kind of forgot that with all how shitty this year's been.
Yeah, no, it's not all been bad. This hasn't been like a nightmarish past 4 seasons. Like this has been, we've had our ups and downs. You know, the first couple seasons, you kind of give him the benefit of the doubt because he's still kind of trying to form this team. And that third season is like, fuck yeah, man. You get the 12-4, and then it's just like it just tanks, man. And I don't know.
I really love the man. I wish he would have been more successful. Like
absolutely.
We were rooting for him. You know, like we wanted Anthony
at the very
Lynn,
beginning of the season. We were
to be our coach. Obviously, what we saw throughout the season, we were all at the point where it's like, okay, it's time to move on. But I wish that type of like character man, like inspirational, awesome guy off the field, I wish that would have translated a little bit more into a couple more W's and we could have stuck with them. But we all know that it was time to move on.
I think it's a blessing in disguise in certain ways too. It's like, you know, it's easy to get mediocre and just kind of limp into the playoffs, or you look at somebody that can really take us over the top and make us really good. So it's all grass is always greener, but I think this grass looks pretty green.
I think that a lot of us were worried, right? The Herbert coaching changeover. He never had a consistent coaching staff. It's like, you were like, oh, man, is it the right timing for him to go? Which most likely will mean Shane Steichen leaves as well. And it's a whole new staff now for Herbert. But it's like, it's almost like if you're going to do it now.
Exactly.
You know, like don't do it 2 years from now when Herbert's really, really comfortable and our offense is dialed in, or to a certain extent, there's a lot of comfortability. And like he's got the ability to audible and the terminology of Steichen's offense. And he knows they have that relationship. It's almost like now's the time, just cut the ties altogether. Let's go moving forward 2021.
Right.
Well, if you want to look at it like glasses half full, like, he
Always,
is
that's what we do here.
If you want to look at it glasses half full, like, he is an expert at having a new coach every year. So this is like, what are we going to do? Give him something he's never had 2 years straight with a coach? No, not on our watch. We're going to give him a brand new coach. Yeah, let's give him a new coach. Yeah, next year he's going to be even better with the new coach. Only
a revolving door of coaches.
Make it harder on him.
That's too easy. Like Tua said, he thought it would be harder, right?
Yeah. You were right, Tua.
Enjoy your offseason.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Enjoy your
You
offseason.
jerk. Yeah, it's all unfortunate. I mean, especially because this was the year that we got on Hard Knocks and we all got to see a lot more of Coach Lynn and as the man. Like, this is the guy. And we fell in love with him. I mean, every week it was just like, dude, Chargers, which head coach would you rather have, Anthony Lynn or Sean McVay? And it was like, oh, dude, Anthony Lynn all the way. He's just such a
Rosé, bro.
Yeah,
but Rosé, McVay Rosé is in the freaking divisional round of the playoffs now.
I know. Right. God, we were so wrong on that.
Well, God, that's the thing.
He's not as good of a man. He's a good coach.
Exactly.
God, he's a dork.
Exactly.
Kind of a darsh.
He's still a dork.
Yeah, he's still a dork. That's the thing. It's like, we love Anthony Lynn as a man. We love him for his character, for his leadership, and everything that he brought to this team, and just couldn't get the wins, which at the end of the day is what it's all about. We'll see what the future brings, but I think, to tack on to what you said there, Kyle, like, if you're going to do it now. Like, get that. And that was the issue, I think, with Lynn. It's like, it's not so much it obviously wasn't a character issue. I mean, we've let players go in the past for character issues, and I'm sure coaches would get let go if it was a character issue as well, but it certainly wasn't that. You're just, like we talked about in the last episode, you're given this opportunity with Herbert being so good with a rookie contract. And it's like, if you have a season where he breaks all these rookie records and you're not going to the playoffs, like, obviously something is wrong and something needs to get fixed, right?
Yeah, dude. Top 10 offense, top 10 defense, and you're not even near not even close. You can't even touch the playoffs.
Right, we couldn't even get to the wild card.
It had to happen.
Right.
Had to happen.
It had to happen. And it's unfortunate, but obviously, we wish Anthony Lynn nothing but the best. And, we're anxious to find out where he might land. There hasn't been any talk yet of him interviewing. I don't even know if he can interview, if he's still got that extra year of contract. I don't know.
I think he's going to sit on. I think I may be wrong, but I think the Chargers are going to have to pay him. And would you rather not just take a year off and sit back, collect some cash, and figure out the next year once COVID's all done?
That's true. Yeah, that's not how coaches work, though, man.
I know that's not how they work, but it sounds like a pretty good idea.
It's not, if you're ready to retire, collect that last little contract and right off into the distance. But he's not done coaching yet, so he's going to be out there interviewing for sure. He wants to go win football games, and he probably wants another opportunity as a head coach, which might happen. Might require a little stint as a coordinator here for a little bit. And
he wants to go run the ball is what he wants to go. He wants to go find a place and he wants to go run the ball.
We know he wants to establish the run.
Whoever hires him, do not put him in charge of timeouts, please. Just do it. Just don't do that.
That Tennessee gig, if that OC gets swooped up somewhere, that might be a good little spot.
Oh my God, Tractor Cito over there. That would be pretty insane to have a 2,000-yard rushing. They would run every play. It would literally be every single play. So, all right. We don't have to talk about Lynn anymore. It's done, guys. We made it to the end of the season. And it's farewell, my friend.
Bon voyage.
Good luck. Bon voyage.
That's right. And let's see. There were some quotes that came from Tom Telesco. I don't think I'm going to change anyone's opinions they have of myself or this football team, but there's no doubt that I've got a lot of work to do, and I've got a lot of work to do with the next staff.
What do you guys think about the wide net that's being thrown out there? Is it like because it could come across two ways, right? It's we have no idea who the hell we want, so we're just going to interview everyone that wants to get on a Zoom call with us. Or it's we're doing our quote unquote due diligence and like
can I be honest with you?
Again. Yeah,
I felt like it was like, oh shit, we're screwed. Like, what do we do? That was my first reaction. Was like, oh, okay, because I think the previous years they even talked about McCoy being hired in like a rush job, and like we just found out that Dean Spanos had mentioned that he wasn't even a part of the Lynn hiring because he was so busy with the stadium. Right. So this might be a time where the organization, like, they all sit down, they all look at it, they're not rushing, they have a couple weeks to, and you're using Zoom. You're not forced to like meet in person right now.
Right.
Usually you got to go you got to fly people in. You got to do all that. You can literally sit here and interview somebody.
Chargers don't have to come out of pocket for anything. They just need to pay for their Zoom subscription to be able to talk to these guys, right?
Solid $49.95, boys. You can do that.
Yeah, I got to think it's due diligence because I think if you look at the big picture as far as like, okay, we only want to interview the top 5 coaches, right? There have been so many coaches that have gotten fired this offseason that like, and some even prior to the offseason, that there are so many openings, I think, throughout the league that if you only limit yourself to the top 5, you're then going to be scrambling if all 5 of those go to some other team. Like if you cast a wide net, you at least can say, okay, I've done my due diligence by talking to each one of these people, all of these potential candidates, especially the ones that have been coaches before, like everybody, as soon as they saw Jason Garrett's name pop up, it was like, holy smokes, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Careful, Bulldog. Dave, Papa Duggan is a fan.
Papa Dugs was on board and
Jason Garrett. Yeah.
I almost reached through the phone and smacked my dad in the face when he was pumped on Jason Garrett. I'm like, Dad, shut your mouth. You can't ground me. I'm not a child anymore. You can't ground me. Shut your mouth. Stop talking to me like that, Dave.
Because here's the thing with Jason Garrett. Like I didn't watch any Cowboys games, so I can't really speak to his coaching ability or be like, I saw this or I saw that. All I can do is, cherry pick from what other people have said. And it's funny because like the talk with Jason Garrett is that like, okay, well, look at where he was at when he was with the Cowboys. He had a lot of drama with Jerry Jones. He had, this quarterback or that quarterback, and it was blah, blah, blah. Like he wasn't like he didn't have all the pieces. But then I look at interviews from like a year prior and they're like, Jason Garrett's the problem with the Cowboys. He's got to go. He's got to go. So it's like, wait a minute. You can't have it both ways. Like you can't say that he was an underrated coach and then the year prior be like, oh no, he sucks. Like, I don't know. It just seems like a little two-faced maybe, or just like he can't decide if he's a bad coach or a good one. I don't know. It seems weird.
Well, here's the problem with his whole experience as a head coach is he had Jerry Jones as an owner. No one's going to come out and say that Jerry Jones is doing a bad job as a GM. He runs the show. He meets with Jason Garrett on a weekly basis, pretty much tells him what to do. No one's going to come out and talk against Jerry Jones because they'll be exiled from the National Football League. But I mean, the guy is the GM, the owner, the pretty much head coach behind the scenes,
the receptionist,
and
the water boy.
He does everything.
You don't get rich by spending money, fellas.
Water sucks. It really, really sucks.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you Jason Garrett's my number 1 candidate.
Right.
You better not.
I understand.
Fucking better not.
I understand the reach out. I understand the interview. I understand talking to him. The guy, like I've said in the past, is I want a guy that can step in here and take us to the playoffs, potential Super Bowl right away. Now, is he the guy to do it? I don't know, but he's been a head coach. He knows what's required. He knows how to put a staff together. They were a playoff team pretty successfully, except for 1 or 2 years here and there that were just piss poor. So I mean, I can understand, and that's where Dave was coming from.
Right.
But Kevin, I know you probably have it take.
I see your point. Like we've talked every episode leading up to this, that it was like you want a head coach stepping in to be the head coach, somebody with previous experience. And we'll get into this list of people that have been interviewed and will be interviewed. He's one of the only people on this list that was a former head coach.
Right.
So this makes sense with your thinking. This was such a left field thing for me.
Yeah.
My feeble brain kind of collapsed in on itself a little bit when I heard this news. Like I watched Dallas fans hate on him for a long time.
Yeah.
And just the mediocrity that they say came with it. And this is all hearsay. I didn't watch every single Dallas Cowboys game. I didn't know what he was doing really, but there wasn't success. There wasn't the success there.
No great success.
There's this thing where it's like, do you want to the great, not great success. There's a thing where it's like, shooting in the dark with an offensive coordinator that could, or defensive coordinator that could. You're shooting in the dark. You're taking a chance. Or you got a guy that he's probably going to make you to the playoffs. We've seen him do it in a few, good amount of times. But
yeah, he was in a toxic organization.
I don't know. I'm not even close to thrilled with that. If we picked him, it would be it'd take me a couple days to come around.
Here's what I think the whole fan base has to come to. If there was a great coach, perfect slam dunk candidate, he would already be a head coach somewhere.
Right.
That's the truth. there's no Belichick sitting around as coordinator somewhere. You're taking a shot no matter what you do.
Sorry to interrupt. Twitter, did you guys see the news that
Yeah, I tweeted it.
Yeah. Wooly tweeted out that go ahead. What did you tweet out, Adam? Sorry to interrupt you, Kyle, but this is too funny.
Yeah, there was somebody that tweeted out that Belichick would been let go from the Patriots, and I tweeted at the Chargers like, please interview him, and then the realization came that this was not the real, Ian Rappaport that was tweeting this. This was some other Yahoo that, man, it just bummed me out. Don't do that to me. Don't play with my emotions like that. That's not fair. I don't like feeling like an asshole when I'm just like trying to support the Chargers organization. Like I don't like that. It's not
made
fun.
Me feel like an asshole.
You make me feel like a real jerk in front of my friends. All right, I've got an image to upkeep. You can't just.
There goes your Twitter clout.
Yeah, like I had like a big Twitter following to begin with. I got like what 50 people, and now 50 of you.
You're gonna let those people down.
No, I love you. Thank you for following me,
Kyle. Sorry. Go ahead, Kyle. Sorry.
No. My whole point was just that like you're taking a chance one way or another. You don't know. It's a gamble because either the guy has been a head coach and wasn't successful, or he's never been one before.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really a toss up, and so I guess you got to take a chance. And I don't see why you don't at least interview a guy that had an opportunity. Was he super successful? No. Did he win a Super Bowl? No. But in the coaching world, Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl. He's let go 3 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Like. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what the head coaching world looks like anymore. I don't think there's any slam dunk candidates. I know Craig from Texas would disagree, but
right.
It's a toss up. Like you're taking a risk no matter who you hire.
Yeah, and I think interviewing all these people, like I said, if we start seeing like coaches getting, signing contracts with these other teams, it might get kind of frantic. Where like. Oh, okay. Like our top choice,
right.
Frickin' went somewhere else.
That's what happens. It's usually a domino effect. One coach goes and then people start getting hired. That's how it happens.
Right. So it's good to know, if you've got 12 guys to pick from, it's good to know like, okay, who are our top choices? And if the top 5 go and you don't have a choice but to pick your 6th guy that you didn't really want, but I guess I can't imagine that's going to happen. You need a head coach, but I can't imagine that's going to happen with the Chargers. Like, again, like just Justin Herbert. Like you can't, that's got to draw somebody.
I think, I don't know if this is just like, because it's my team but you got to think that we're the first chip to fall. You got to think that all these interviews that we're putting out there, they're hoping that we're the team that picks them, and they're probably holding out to hear what we decide.
I would like to think so. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's just me being, hey, the Chargers are the best team. Blah blah blah. I love
that. I love that mindset.
You got to think like we have a franchise quarterback, we have cap space, we have all of our draft picks. We're in LA. Like I don't know. It just seems like most of these candidates, if they could pick a team, they would pick us.
Right.
And everyone's saying it's between us and Jacksonville. And it appears as though Urban Meyer's has potentially kind of sealed that deal a little bit. But so you would think.
Yeah, there was talks in previous articles that Urban Meyer was at least entertaining the idea of either going to Jacksonville or possibly Los Angeles for the Chargers. As the weeks progress now, there's been like zero talk about Urban coming to Los Angeles and more talk of him going to Jacksonville. So it would appear as though Jacksonville is going to be his landing spot. I'm not completely out of hope that he could come to the Chargers.
I saw articles that he's putting together a staff already, and he's only met with the Jaguars. This is the only team he's met with yet, and he's already putting a staff together. I think that we're leveraged for him to get the most money he can. And I think that I honestly think he's going to the Jags.
Interesting.
But I'm kind of prepared. We've had a long week of like having the big, Urban Meyer podcast where we talked about him, and I just talked about him for about 30 minutes. But I think that ship is beginning to take off and sail away, because it just doesn't feel like, because I don't even think we've set up an interview with him yet.
No,
I don't even think that's even on the radar. And if you're interviewing Jason Garrett before you interview Urban Meyer, I think, and all these other guys.
That means you've asked him and he said no.
And
Yeah,
that's
but they
possible.
usually would say they declined. Like that would be big news.
Right.
They said they would decline.
Unless he's like, dude, do not say I declined. I'm trying to get as much money as I can from the Jags. Please, please, please do not say I declined this interview.
Another thing that was interesting is that Colin Cowherd was supposed to have him on for an interview, and he wanted to talk to him about, everything that's going on. And Urban Meyer told him that he didn't want to answer specific questions about the coaching thing coming up. And then Colin Cowherd canceled the interview because he didn't want to be unable to ask a question. So that kind of goes to show a little bit maybe towards what you're talking about, Kyle, where he's leveraging people and he doesn't want to give something up. And it seems that you wouldn't do that if you were pretty confident in where you were going. So I think that was just something I saw that was like, maybe the ship that's not fully sailed away yet, but I think it's off the dock for sure.
Definitely. So let's look at the ones that are surely docked for the possible coaching position. We've already talked about Jason Garrett and the pros and cons that come with him. Matt Eberflus was interviewed this last Sunday. He is the Colts defensive coordinator, and they just got knocked out of playoff contention. We saw as we watched the Colts play against
Poor
Buffalo.
Phil.
Yeah, felt bad for Phil. That was a rough game to watch for him. You wanted to see him just take it all the way.
Sweet boy.
But it was interesting to see how the Indianapolis Colts defense worked against Buffalo's offense, which was where Brian Daboll is currently. He's the Bills' offensive coordinator. So they obviously did a great job. They won the game. So Bills are moving on in the playoffs. Colts are not. One of the things that I think is interesting with what type of a coordinator that we could potentially be hiring is, obviously offensive versus defensive. There was something that came out with Telesco. Damn it. I meant to write it down. Here we go. One thing I'd add here. I've been told that the Chargers, if they go with a non-offensive hire, whoever the guy is, he's going to have a very detailed plan for the side of the ball and the quarterback. So when you were coach, Kyle, were you considered more offensive or defensive?
Yeah, that's hard, man. High school, especially where I was the head coach at a small school, you do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Your special teams, offense, basically you have
You're Anthony
coordinators,
Lynn.
but you pretty much do everything. Yeah. You're forced
You
into
excel
an
the
Anthony Lynn
special teams.
situation. But at the same time, I do think even at the NFL level, like as the head coach, you're responsible for wins and losses.
Right.
Like, so you do oversee everything. Your conservative or your aggressive style of coaching is gonna rub off on both the offense and defense. And we saw that with Coach Lynn. We saw that conservative type of mentality worked with both. It had an influence on both the offense and defense, even though he was an offensive coach. So the head coach has a big influence on everything aspect of the team, special teams, offense, and defense. He doesn't call the plays necessarily, but he's definitely meeting with those coordinators daily. Has a say in everything that's going on. So it's a big deal. They're not always play callers, but kind of the Wednesday through Saturday, they are the play caller. They're running the show.
So do you foresee defensive coordinators potentially struggling with coming up with a plan on what to do with the offensive side?
No, absolutely not.
Or is that going to be like a slam dunk type of plan?
Yeah, it goes both ways. So here's the thing about, I was a defensive coordinator my whole coaching career until I got a head coaching job. But as a defensive coach, you have to know every offense. You don't know just one. You have to you have to scheme against every type of offense, every type of quarterback, every type of running game. You don't just say, I'm an offensive coach and I run the zone and we are a West Coast style offense, blah, 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 whatever you want to say. As a defensive coordinator, you have to know every offense and know how to defend every single offense. So I don't like, potentially if you hire a defensive coach, he's not going to come in and say, here's the playbook, run it this way. This is the terminology you have to use, but he's going to say, hey, these are the things that are most difficult for me to defend. This is what I would like to see us implement into our offense. And I think that it even more so as a defensive minded person, head coach, he could get together with ROC, whether it be Steichen or somebody else, and really challenge them with, hey, you're wanting to run this, and this against the defense we're facing this week. If I was their defensive coordinator, this is what I would do to beat you, blah, blah, blah. That dialogue could be extremely beneficial.
Interesting take. Yeah. The thought of the defensive coordinators need to really be astute on all offenses is something that, would make them a good person to have in terms of having an offensive coordinator where you could go back and forth with and kind of challenge each other at practice and make each other better. So I see that for sure.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Some of the other guys that have already been interviewed, Eric Bieniemy was interviewed.
He was like one of our first. He interviewed with every single team already.
Yeah.
Because he had that bye week. So he was knocking him out right away.
Yeah. So Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator. We've heard a lot about Joe Brady, the Panthers offensive coordinator. Looks like he interviewed last week.
That guy's my age.
That's interesting.
Crazy.
Looking at some of these,
Jeez.
the ages, because it's interesting that they put that. Eberflus is 50, Jason Garrett's 54, Bieniemy's 51, Joe Brady's 31. Brian Daboll had his interview just recently. He's 45. And Brandon Staley's 38. I think he has his interview possibly Tuesday. And then Robert Saleh, I wonder how old he is. Doesn't look very old. I bet he's pretty young. Yeah, he's 41.
41.
The thing with Joe Brady that, no one's really, people might know, but I don't want Joe Brady. And the reason why is like he has climbed the ladder.
People might not know is I don't want Joe Brady.
That's pretty much. I'm breaking it here, guys. Breaking news.
Breaking news.
People might not know this.
Don't want
I
nothing
definitely
to do
want
with
Joe Brady. And the reason is that he has climbed the ladder so quickly. The positions he's held up to this point, I think this is his first year as an offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. So it's like he's way too young, in my opinion.
First year in the NFL.
Yeah, it's
LSU head OC.
Too much too soon. Too much too soon for me. And I don't know. I want. This is a situation where I'd happily be wrong if he goes somewhere and does really well. Like that's fine. Like I'm fine with that. I just don't. He climbed the ladder a little too quick, in my opinion. A 31-year-old, no,
it's too much of a risk for Huggins' blood. Too rich for Huggins' blood.
Yeah, you can't have a coach younger than I can't have a head coach younger than me. Like, just that doesn't work. Mm-hmm. I'm not down with that. So
your younger brother.
If you're 37 or older, you're good.
All right, so that does pretty well for just about every other possible coach.
Yeah, so everyone else is fine.
Just
That's just like
Joe Brady. Yeah.
Yeah. Breaking news.
Let's see. Arthur Smith. How old is that knucklehead? He's 38. So there you go. He fits that criteria.
He made the cut.
Well. He made the cut.
He made the Huggin cut. He made the Huggin cut.
So yeah, Brandon Staley, Robert Saleh, Arthur Smith. Those are the other ones that we can at least confirm are scheduled for interviews or have had their interviews. But one of the things that we were talking about prior to recording is that there's been no news on how any of these interviews have gone yet. Telesco's really playing it close to the chest. So I got to think that that's a strategy, right?
What did you guys expect? Like, we didn't know Joey Bosa was going to be a Charger for the rest of his career until like the last second. Like the guy, like, I think it's a good thing. Like, you
can have hope.
Like, loose lips sink tight ships. You know what I mean?
Right.
You feel me? So keep it tight, Tommy T. Keep it tight.
No, just text me, Tommy T. Let me know.
Yeah,
I
just let
know.
me know.
Let Kyle know so he can not tell anyone else.
I'll tell Charger Chat.
Yeah.
We become the highest rated podcast for 1 week, and then everyone goes
for late breaking news. So that's all the coaches that we've heard so far. Again, Urban Meyer not on that list. Harbaugh signed his contract with Michigan, so he's staying there, and that's it. Like, there hasn't been any other talk unless we get some other random coach that comes out of left field that we didn't know about that all of a sudden is coaching our team, but I don't foresee that happening. Looking at some of the other coaching news, the Raiders officially requested permission to interview Gus Bradley for their vacant defensive coordinator job. I mean, their defensive coordinator, at least the interim one, was like, 74, 75, something crazy. So they're looking for some younger blood.
That would be a slight upgrade for them. I would hate. Honestly, I know people. Gus Bradley, they don't like him and stuff, but he's had top defenses and everywhere he goes.
Yeah,
like, even though you might not like his
like,
style, he's always top 10. So like, do you want him to go to the Raiders? I don't.
No.
I do not want him to go to the Raiders.
Yeah, I don't either.
That
would suck. I don't want any Charger, any affiliate to ever go to anything Charger or Raider related.
No, it's bad enough when you have Melvin Gordon going to freaking Denver. We don't want anybody going to the Raiders. And I honestly kind of hope that we hold on to our coordinators. I'd like to see Gus Bradley stick around. I mean, honestly, Gus Bradley was given the situation. I mean, almost every year that we've had him, a roster of injured players. You know, he hasn't really had to really tap into Derwin James. And the year that we had him, it was like he went off the hook. So I'd like to see Derwin come back and work with Gus Bradley and just transform this defense into what it should be.
I'm kind of surprised that Gus Bradley is not, if Jason Garrett's being interviewed for head coaching positions, I'm kind of surprised Gus Bradley isn't getting a couple interviews, at least here and there.
Might not be interested.
He was a head coach. I think he's just in coach's jail after his stint.
Jacksonville stint.
As a head coach, yeah. Jacksonville just hurts. It just ruins coaches. So think about it, Urban Meyer.
Think about that, Urban. Do you want to get ruined? Do you want to be damaged goods? I don't think so.
Yeah. You want to get ruined, Urban Meyer?
You want to get wrecked? Riggedy wrecked, son? A bit of good news that came out recently. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert broke almost every conceivable NFL rookie passing record. Tell us something we don't know.
Yeah, he did.
On display in Canton, Ohio in the Hall of Fame is his game-worn jersey from Week 11 when he became the first rookie with at least 2 touchdown passes in 7 consecutive games. And sitting right next to him is Keenan Allen's jersey, who got the most receptions in his first 100 games, I think it was, like 623, something crazy like that. That's awesome.
Wow. He's already in Canton, guys.
He's already
first
in Canton.
Year, already there.
It's also kind of cool to be like, you know, this last season was the first season we had those new uniforms, and they're already sitting in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, in the Hall.
Looking pretty.
Looking the best, as I must say.
Yeah.
Looking the best.
That's right.
The best.
And
I did want to say we watched Nacho Libre when we were together in Kansas City, and it's the best. I've been quoting it since we've been apart, so thank you for that.
My life is good. Really good.
Really good. Really good.
And then to nobody's surprise, who walked away with the Week 17's Rookie of the Week? None other than Justin Herbert. So that was
75%. 75% again. Karen, you've done it.
You've done it again, Karen.
Dude, there are a couple. I'm going to say specifically, there are a couple women on our Chargers Twitter that go off. For our guys, and it's amazing. We have some. Yeah, I love it so much. And just a reminder, like there's voting for Pepsi Rookie of the Year.
Right, that is still currently going.
We're almost to the finish line with all this insane voting, guys. So let's wrap this bad boy up.
That's right. Yeah, he was. Herbert walked away with Offensive Rookie of the Year on Fox's NFL for that voting. There's no reason why he shouldn't get himself a big old truckload of zero sugar Pepsis. Am I right, fellas?
Anyone that says Justin Jefferson, stop listening to us.
You're high.
Yeah,
you're done.
It's just insane. Like, he's a quarterback and he's breaking every record. This guy's just running around catching a football, like,
which is very impressive. We're all,
it's very impressive. But like, what Justin Herbert did is like, it's crazy at a quarterback in the NFL. His rookie season to go out and do what he did when he wasn't expected to play it down this whole year.
Wasn't
COVID, no preseason,
that's insane.
Nothing.
No preseason games, no training camp. Really, come on, do the right thing.
Do
guys.
the right thing. I'm sure they will. I can't imagine that anybody that listens to us thinks that Justin Jefferson should be the one to win Rookie of the Year. But as Kyle mentioned, if you do,
point, Adam
you might not be at the right podcast. So appreciate you. But you might not be at the right one. So, okay. Well, with no real game to go over or recap or anything like that, we're just going to dive right into some sound bites. Let's see. Who do we got on deck here, Kev?
Well, we got our oldie but goodie. You hear from him every single week. So I don't even think we need to.
Does it start with a C and end with Reg?
I guess we're just going to have to find out.
You Chargers chat brethren, it's your boy Craig in Texas, and it is off-season time. Well, at least for the Chargers it is. And we saw what may have been the final appearance of our boy Philly Rib yesterday out in Buffalo, and it ended in another heartbreaker. And that presser at the end of the game made me feel like I was reliving LA all over again. It's been a wild ride with the guy, but he's a definite Hall of Famer in my book, and we'll see what happens moving forward with him. But get to the point of my call here. Updated coaching list for you. Well, at least somewhat, because we all know who my number one guy is. You know the hashtag, go get Daboll. Matt Eberflus has actually moved down to number 3 because, drum roll, Brandon Staley and his innovative 3-4 defense, which I think would be perfect for us, has moved into the number 2 spot. The guy can really coach, and he understands the offensive side of the ball as well as a former QB. So if we don't get our hands on Daboll, I'm totally okay with Staley. And this reminds me, Kevin, that was a really nice portrayal of Urban Meyer on that crossover pod yesterday. Complete narcissist, which is why I want no parts of that cat. But you did an amazing job, man. Anyway, just want to hear what you guys' top 3 list is, if you have one. It's off-season time once again, so let's see what our Chargers do and what kind of moves we make. But it's onward and upward. Either way it goes. Bolt gang, don't bang. Okay, love you, bye.
Oh, Craig. Thank you, man.
Love it, Craig.
Yeah. Well, dude, were you, it sounded like you were like, there was like rain. It was very moody. I like the
good weather.
soundscapes. I was in it.
Yeah, I felt like I was right next to you there, Craig.
Off season. Yeah, it was a perfect off-season sound.
Yeah, those of you who didn't see, our boy Huggin Duggan went on a crossover episode with other Charger-related podcasts and represented as Urban Meyer. In my opinion, the most entertaining portrayal of any coach on that special episode. But I'm just slightly biased.
You're biased. Those guys took it seriously and they did research. I was just like, I'm just gonna around. So that's what happened, and that's what you got. So yeah. So it was fun. It's weird. Like, we're not competitive. Like, this is just our hobby. But It's like, oh, what are those guys doing? What are these guys doing? It's like this weird thing, and then we all got together, talked.
And
it's like,
bam,
dude,
it
it's just like we're here for the exact same thing.
Right.
And it's awesome. So it was a great way to wrap up the year and chat with them. So if you haven't checked it out, go to the Guilty as Charged YouTube page, and they have the video, and it's video. You can see my props and all the stuff we use for it.
Yes,
so
Huggin had props. He had wardrobe. He had the whole shebang. So it was pretty.
It's like Carrot Top. I was pulling shit out everywhere and throwing it. I was a prop guy.
It was pretty entertaining to watch. But let's not get too far off the subject. Craig asked a very important question: who are our top 3 head coaching people that we would like to see in that position? I'm going to toss it over to Huggin first. Huggin, who are your top 3?
I'm shifting. I'm still Urban Meyer right now. I know it's not realistic. But I think it's for me, it's Herb, until the ship's gone. And then I'm gonna jump on it. I'm gonna jump on this train. It's moving fast. There's a lot of friends on there. I'm sure there's a keg or two. We're gonna have a good time. Brian Daboll, I'm gonna jump on that. And that, it's looking likely. Everyone's saying they want him. He did a great job in making adjustments in his playoff game against the Colts. It's just like this big guy sitting up in the booth.
He's a big boy. Yeah.
I was feeling the vibes a little bit. I was feeling those head coaching big boy vibes. So go with him. And then third is still up in the air for me. I could see the Brandon Staley and the Rams defenses look stout, but it's like we always talk about. It's the head coaching thing. I have no idea what they're going to be like as head coaches. Mm-hmm. So just not Jason Garrett.
All right, Coach
Kyle. What is Kyle?
Just not Jason Garrett. Yeah. So it's hard, man. I go back and forth a lot. My number 1 is still Urban Meyer. Like you said, Kev, I don't think it's going to happen, but he's still at the top of my list until he signs somewhere else. Who knows? Maybe the Jags do something stupid and piss him off, and he's like, okay, cool, I'll go to LA. I just think he's going to be able to put together the best staff.
Right.
I think he knows enough people. He knows football. Obviously, he knows he can win. He's a winner. He knows how to do all the ins and outs of what being a head coach is. I'm not saying no one else can do that. I'm not saying that a Brian Daboll or a Robert Saleh can't do those things. They just haven't done it yet. Mm-hmm. So in my mind, a guy that's been a proven winner at multiple places, that has connections, that can put together a staff. He's already putting together a staff before he has a job. That's the kind of guy that can come in and win right now. And that's what the Chargers need, is someone that's going to come in, establish the mindset and the culture and the team right now to go win. So Urban Meyer is still my number 1. My number 2 is also Brian Daboll. I think if you're going to take a chance, he's a good chance. He's a good risk. He has the pedigree. Not that pedigree always matters the most. He's been with Saban. He's been with Belichick. Now he's done a great job there in Buffalo coordinating. He obviously knows offense. Even if he's not the play caller for the Chargers, he's going to have a say, kind of like we talked about earlier with the head coaches. I think he would do a good job. I'd be excited if he got the gig. I think is where it's getting to is most Charger fans would be excited if Daboll gets announced as the head coach. Right. And my number 3 is kind of a part A and B. It's Robert Saleh and Eberflus from Indianapolis.
You can't do that. You got to pick one. You can't A and B it. Pick a third one. Pick one. Saleh or Eberflus. Come on, you can do it.
I can do whatever I want. Is really what it is.
Come on, you can do it. Pick a 3.
You can
Kyle.
do it.
Come on.
I pick Saleh. Then
there you go. Good. I love it.
We haven't interviewed him yet, but I like the one thing I do like about Robert Saleh is his passion and game day. I was listening to the Pat McAfee show the other day, and they were talking to Fred Warner, the linebacker, and he's like, they were asking him about him, and they're like, is that guy just like fired up the second you get in there on a Wednesday? He's like, no, he's the most level-headed, chill guy all week, and then Sunday he flips a switch and he turns into a maniac. Like,
I love it.
That's like, I don't know if that's a great attribute for a head coach, but I would love to see what that looked like on a sideline. Just this crazy head coach running up and down, chest bumping guys, head-butting helmets and stuff. But I think I like.
He goes all Brian
like
Cushing and cuts his head open on a headbutt. That'd be awesome.
Like I've said in the past, I like the idea of a defensive-minded head coach. We haven't had one in I don't even know how long. I don't know if we've ever had a defensive-minded head coach. I like the adjustment. He's an aggressive coach. He's not a very conservative, sit back, let things happen kind of guy. And that would influence the entire organization. So I like Saleh as the number 3 guy. What about you, Wolldog?
Boy, I mean, honestly, because I get influenced by you guys more than anybody else, Urban would absolutely still be my number 1 choice. Just given his track record, given what he's been able to do, and also just kind of the character of the guy himself. I feel like there's been some stuff brought up about his past. I've not really delved too far into it because I know that people can change, people can get better. And from what I've seen in his most recent interviews and talks, seems like a great guy and seems like a great leader for this team. I think this team needs more than anything a leader, especially with us losing Anthony Lynn. You want somebody that has that leadership mentality, and I think Urban absolutely possesses that. My second choice, I mean, there's none of these guys that I'm ever going to be like completely upset with, even Jason Garrett. If it ends up being Jason Garrett, I'm not totally pissed off about it. But if it was up to me, if it's me making decisions, I think my second pick would probably be, I'll go with Brian Daboll. I think he's a good offensive coordinator. I think he's still pretty unproven. He's just had this one really great year, and probably whatever happened in the prior offseason to get him, get the Bills where they are right now. So I think he's good on up and coming. I just hate taking that risk. So you know what? I'm going to take it back. I'm going to say Eberflus is my second, and third for me would be Saleh, because I agree. The energy that I've seen from Saleh on the sidelines, like on that, I think it was the last 49ers game, was like, holy smokes. Like, that's what I like to see on a sideline. That's somebody who I feel is the team is going to get behind that kind of energy. Like, it's one thing if that's the defensive coordinator. It's another thing if that's your head coach is, parking that kind of energy to your whole team.
Totally.
Chaos.
Yeah, just chaos.
Yeah, just absolute chaos.
I kind of like it. I think that would be an interesting change of pace. Just for this.
It would not be the Bill Belichick approach.
No, not at all. In fact, I don't know who the most energetic coach that's been on the Chargers in a long time might even be Anthony Lynn. I mean, I know that there's a picture of Anthony Lynn bringing the arms up, showing the guns, celebrating with the boys. So I can't picture McCoy, Turner, Schottenheimer, any of those guys getting like overly roid ragey on these guys. So I think that would be a nice change of pace. So,
and quick question, Kyle, the 3-4 idea. I saw we were listening to it, and I saw you just slightly shaking your head. What are your thoughts on moving to the 3-4?
Oh no, the 3-4 is fine. I just don't like Staley as a head coach. I honestly, no other reason than I don't know a whole lot about him. And putting together a staff as a 38-year-old, that's a young head coach. I think there's a lot stacked against any head coach in the NFL, no matter what age you are, no matter what you've done, no matter what your past looks like, there's a lot going against you. Everyone wants to blame the head coach instantly once you lose. And a guy that has never done it before, a young guy like that, also another LA team feels kind of weird to me. But
incestual, if you will.
It's hard. It's hard, man. Like, so most of the coordinators and stuff you're going to hire are not going to be 38. Most of the candidates are going to be older guys. Mm-hmm. And no matter how much they say they're okay with reporting to a 38-year-old as their superior, it just bottom line is not. Like, it's a weird thing. So I think until you've established yourself or you've paid your dues, it's just hard to be a head coach in the NFL and to garner that respect. Like, most DCs nowadays are old head coaches that have failed and are now trying to rebuild their reputation. So I don't know who he would bring on as a staff, but like, you bring anyone decent on as a coordinator, they're going to be older than you. They're going to be set in their ways. Things start to go poorly unless they're just extremely committed to the team and very selfless. It might become turbulent a little bit. So I don't like the idea of a young head coach, to be honest. I was a young head coach. I got my first head coaching gig when I was 25, and it was hard to put a staff together because I just didn't really trust anyone. I didn't think anyone was going to respect me or listen to me or allow me to run things the way that I wanted to run it. And I can't imagine what that would be to the nth degree in the NFL when millions of dollars are on the line as a head coach. So yeah, I just get really worried about young head coaches and their ability to put together a legitimate quality staff.
Excellent.
Good insight.
Good points. Thank you, Craig. Always good to hear from you. And next we've got one. He has a little bit of a request, so I'm going to totally this up.
Crikey. Next we got on our show a guy by the name of Jack Bushel. Bushel in a peck.
Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and all is well. I had a question. Now, looking towards the draft, it's kind of obvious that we need to go with O-line, with our top pick. But looking down the board, I feel like there's a player that I've seen that I really like, Rondell Moore. If Shane Steichen is still our offensive coordinator and we go with a lot of the wide receiver screens that we've kind of just seen out of nowhere this year, I feel like he would be the perfect player to put in that position. He's a great yards after the catch receiver, and he can be the go-to receiver if we keep doing that. And he also kind of reminds me of Curtis Samuel a bit, where you can sort of line him up anywhere, do a lot of tricky stuff, put him in the backfield. I'd just like to see what your guys' thoughts are. Okay, Kate, love you, bye.
I love hearing that in every
Thank you for
accent.
reaching out. We haven't talked to you since the Fan Focus. Thanks for reaching out, Jack. It was nice having you, brother. Yeah. So Kyle, did you look at this guy?
Yeah. So Rondell Moore, he's a receiver from Purdue. So one of the main first things that I came across when I was doing a little research on the guy, he's played in just 7 games over the last 2 seasons. Now, this season obviously was cut short with COVID, but in 2 years, only playing 7 games because of injuries. That's not anything I want to touch with the 10-foot pole as a Charger. I don't want anything regarding injury issues. The guy's 5'9", 175. So he's a littler guy for playing in the NFL, and he already can't stay healthy in college. It's going to be tough. I looked at some of the kind of the recaps of what he's projecting at, and he's looking to go pretty high in the draft. He's not a first rounder, but he's like that third round kind of spot, and a third round guy with the receiving core that we have right now for pretty cheap. Outside of Keenan, we're not paying anyone huge money. Mike Williams on his year we picked up is kind of big, but other than that, the other guys we have are not expensive. So I just don't see us putting money into a Rondell Moore in this draft. Maybe next year once Mike Williams potentially comes off the books if we don't re-sign him again. But yeah, to be honest, I personally don't see us going early on a wide receiver at all. Especially Joe Reed, KJ Hill, those guys we don't really know much about them even still. Right. I think they got screwed with the lack of preseason. they're still rookies, man. We saw Justin Herbert and what he did, but most rookies don't have great rookie seasons.
Yeah, he's
especially
an
not
outlier.
without a training camp. And so I'm still banking on Joe Reed and KJ Hill being able to do something next year. So I don't see us putting a whole lot of our chips in on a wide receiver early in the draft.
Yeah, he some of the highlights I looked at. He's definitely explosive. I could see why he would be an exciting player to add. But I'm kind of leaning towards the injury thing. Granted, we do draft a lot of guys that have injury history, and some of them have hit, and that's kind of Telesco's thing.
Usually, but that's usually because you get him at a bargain, right? You get him at a place that they're falling. Like Derwin James, he hurt his knee in college and he fell to get to us. He fell a lot. Mm-hmm. Mike Williams, we drafted early still, regardless of injury issues. That's an outlier. But like if a Rondell Moore falls, like if he falls to a 4th, 5th round, I'm sure we would look at drafting him for sure.
Yeah,
yeah. But it just doesn't feel like it's our biggest concern. And even Telesco has said that like we've got to look at this offensive line. There's a lot of opportunity to try to get better. So excellent. Well, thank you, Jack. Always good to hear from you. And I hope I did my Australian good enough for you. I hope I did not offend.
I was offended.
Well, all right. There you go.
Just kidding. I thought it was cool.
Just kidding.
Just kidding.
All right. Well, now let's go to the other Ask Twitters, where I voice those that are voiceless. And first on the list is Tyler Neiman, a.k.a. Tiny2950, who asked the question, what makes a coordinator ready to be a head coach? Does their current success have a lot to do with it?
I think for sure. You're not going to, if you're an OC and you don't have any success, you're for sure not going to get a shot as a head coach. Right. You need to have success every level you go to be moving up the ranks. You got to have success in college if you want to get to the pros. You got to have success in the pros as a position coach to become a coordinator. You got to have success as a coordinator to get the opportunity to be a head coach. It all goes kind of hand in hand. So that's why you see most people being interviewed as playoff coordinators or assistants or to some extent. So yeah, absolutely. You have to be successful as a coordinator before you even get thought about as a head coaching prospect.
Yeah, I think a lot of the coordinators we're interviewing right now have at least shown some sign of success in their position. So, all right, next we've got an old favorite, Tyler Foffey, a.k.a. the Iowa Bolt Fan 54, who asked the question, have our free agents who are must signs and who are some players we might not think of but would be important.
Nice.
I think,
nice,
let's
baby.
see. So must signs, Hunter Henry, obviously, I think is at the top of everybody's list. Like we need that big man, that big Hunter Henry. I think that's really the only must sign. I'd really like to see Isaac Rochelle come back. I think we'd all like to see Denzel Perryman come back. I feel like he's probably going to ask for too much money. And same thing for Mike Davis. Love to have him back, but I don't know. I mean, Tom Telesco has done some great bargaining with some of our previous players on getting contracts for some pretty sweet deals. So who knows? Are there any other names that you guys can think of that you'd like to have back?
So, yeah. So for me, like it's really going to depend on what our coach comes in and decides to do with the O-line. Because there's some guys on here that like if you're going to cut ties with, like Forrest Lamp, Dan Feeney,
Sam
Tevy, like basically most of the offensive lines here. And maybe that's just okay. We're going to let them go. But that's a concern. And also our punter, Ty Long, he's an undrafted free agent. So and Badgley, he's a restricted free agent.
He's restricted. Yeah.
So, it's interesting to see what this is going to be. I don't think you bring back Ingram. I don't think that's realistic for the amount of money and the output he's been given. I think you definitely Hunter Henry. I think Michael Davis earned it 100% this year. And then I just because I like the mullet, I'm going to say Dan Feeney, just because I don't know what they're going to do in offense, but just out of sheer just liking a player, I'm going to go with Dan Feeney.
Yeah, I think a lot comes down to it's just hard. Like looking at the free agents on our team, a lot of it's going to depend on what we do in free agency, and a lot of what our coach comes in and decides to do with scheme. Like obviously the offensive line, I think Feeney you have to sign. I think he's an absolute must sign because he can play two spots with the injury history that the Chargers have, you need a guy that can play 2 spots. So I think Dan Finney, 100%, you need to sign him right now to whatever deal it takes. Now, obviously, not going to overspend, but Dan Finney needs to get signed. It's the Sam Tevies and the Forrest Lamps. Those guys, it depends on what kind of money they're asking for. I don't know. Sam Tevi had a decent season as a left tackle. He's probably going to get paid a little bit better than what we would like to pay him. But then that requires us to either go pay huge money to a free agent or use our first pick overall on a rookie. It's a pretty, I don't know. It's a tough spot, man. So that offensive line is going to be tough.
I have a hard time. Like, I'm still struggling with like how much we didn't like Tevi previous year, and then this year we like him. Is it because he played so well, or is it because the rest of our offensive line was so poor that he looked good?
Yeah,
that's where I'm kind of on the fence. I'm not sure if he's really that guy. I don't think he's our starting left tackle next year.
But that's the hard thing. Is I think that he's going to require too much money to be a fringe guy. And he's not going to be a right tackle because you already paid Balaga. He's, regardless of how hurt he is, Sam Tevi is no longer that utility piece that you can just pop in and out. I think he played well enough this year that he's going to get paid somewhere. So I think it's tough. Yeah, that's the hardest. I think Sam Tevi, that left tackle, is going to be the hardest spot and the most pivotal for this offseason. Whether we go after free agency, we take one in the first round, or you suck it up and pay Tevi. Probably more. Yeah, that's gonna be hard, man. I don't know.
I would pay a little bit more to go get somebody else. Like I don't know. I'm not fully needing to sign Sam Tevi at this point. You know, they're gonna have to make wholesale changes at the offensive line.
But dude, you know what Sam Tevi is. What are you gonna do? Go bring in a Brian Balaga type that comes in and gets hurt every other play?
Good question.
Sam Tevi's been durable. He's played tough, and he's
right.
He's a hard player. I don't know if he's going to require that top, and that's what it all comes down to is what they ask for as far as a contract. If you can get a decent contract that's not top end, if it's middle of the pack money, I think you pay Tevi.
I think this wholesale changes.
Well, that's I hope that we draft a left tackle in the first round. But will we? Track record doesn't show that we will, so I don't know.
Right.
I think the other difficult signing, the most between Sam Tevi and Rayshon Jenkins, is going to be a tough one. That's hard, man. That guy's been durable. He's played a lot of different spots for us. He stepped up in a lot of ways. I think he's a free safety that was playing as a strong all year. So in a contract year to be moved to a brand new position, that's you're putting a guy in a really tough spot. Especially when he was just kind of finally coming into his own as a free safety with Derwin last year. So I think you pay him. I don't think you have to pay him top dollar because he didn't have a humongous season this year because he was playing out of position. And I think you can bring him back and be the free safety. I know I saw Craig on Twitter today was saying Malik Hooker is now a free agent, the free safety at a Indy, but I think you're gonna have to pay him a lot more than you're gonna have to pay Rayshon to keep Rayshon Jenkins. So I don't think it's a bad sign to keep Rayshon at that free safety spot. Allow Derwin to play strong. Derwin goes down, you have that guy that can kind of fill in. So yeah, I think Rayshon and Sam Tevi, I'll be interested to see what those two guys do the most at him, and obviously Hunter Henry. You think you have to sign Hunter Henry, but those other two guys, those will be interesting to see what we do.
Yeah, I think the big thing is going to be, my projection is that there's going to be wholesale changes on the offensive line, and the defense is going to stay pretty intact. I don't think you're going to see a lot of changes. I think there's going to be a lot of re-signings on the defense and a lot of changes on the offense, specifically offensive line. That's just what I'm saying, what I'm thinking is going to happen.
Right. Hopefully the big change that we see on that line is Trey Turner goes, which opens up a lot more of that cap money for us to spend elsewhere and better.
What a swing and a miss, huh?
In our opinion.
Yeah, that was bad.
That was unfortunate.
That was not a good shot.
All right. Well, thank you, Tyler. Always good to hear from you. And next I've got Brian LaRoe. He's got a pretty simple question. Can we get the Wolldog Meyer impression? There it was. Thank you, Brian. Always good to hear from you. Next, we've got Aaron.
What just happened? Oh, my God. Okay.
Next, we've got Aaron, a.k.a. Vrabel56, who asked the question.
Well, gosh, what do you guys do as an outlet now that football season is over?
The tailgates, the home games, the away games, the energy. Football season is my mental escape each year. My other, outside of family, of course, is the escapism of Disney World. I already miss 8 a.m. shots.
Dude, you've never done a Goofy before. That was fantastic.
That was so good.
I didn't.
Yeah.
That
We need to
was
have a full
awesome.
Disney episode pretty soon. That was good.
Yeah,
Well,
dude.
he mentioned Disney World, so I was like, I could probably swing a Goofy.
Oh, probably.
Wow,
you
that's
hit it out of
awesome.
the park. That was good.
So
what do you do, Will Dog? What's your off season look like?
there's a big dent in the couch now for me, just kind of like laying there for the better part of Sunday. So I do a whole lot of nothing, my friend.
Yeah, for me, it's just the family gets dad back on
you
Sunday,
go.
so I'm sure there'll be a lot more ventures outside and doing stuff. And I'm a movie guy. That's what I do for a living.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna catch up. On movies and set up a new little home theater thing. Home theater in my office, so we're gonna
There you
enjoy
go.
that a bit and hopefully break out of this COVID lockdown stuff and go to Universal Studios.
That would be
That's
sweet.
kind of my family's jam. Little mini vacation would be cool when we don't have to wear masks anymore. So
That'd be nice.
that's what I'm looking for. What about you, Kai?
Yeah, it's Sundays become a little bit more open, and I get to spend more time with the family for sure. Saturday weekends as a whole become less stressful, a little less tense, a little bit more dad time. So just spend more time with the fam and get to be more dad on Sunday than crazy Charger fan.
I just picture you just putting everyone in your new truck and just driving around all Sunday.
Vroom, vroom.
Just like, guys, look how cool my truck is. Vroom, vroom.
I wish.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. Next, we've got Mike Nava, a.k.a. Mike FK7. All right. After seeing the Bills and Rams on Saturday, are we Team Dable or Staley?
I think I'm gonna have to go on this one with Daboll just because it fits the narrative and I'm sticking to it.
Excellent. What are you thinking, Coach?
Yeah, we've already kind of gave our top three. Staley's not in it. Sorry, dude.
I'll be the random one. I'll say Staley, and the only reason I'll say that is look at what Herbert was able to do with a coach that was trying to force the run game. I think Herbert's going to be successful regardless of what kind of potential coordinator that you put in the head coaching position, defensive or otherwise. I think Daboll had a lot of success with Allen, but that was when Allen was kind of struggling a little bit in Buffalo. I think Herbert has not been struggling, and I think he will get help from other places. It doesn't necessarily have to be whoever our head coach is. So if I think I'd like to lean towards a defensive-minded head coach, so I'll go Staley. So there you go. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Bobby Calderon is next on the list, a.k.a. B. Calderon 3, who asked the question.
Were you especially impressed with any of the prospective coaching hires that had games over WC weekend?
I think probably Daboll in the sense that they got out there and won. Like if you're gonna put a gun to my head and pick, I'm gonna probably go with him.
I think it's a good pick. Nothing wrong with Daboll. I don't know that I was necessarily impressed. I mean, if anything, maybe Staley from the Rams for beating Seattle. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's not a 1 week thing, like I'm not going to be impressed by 1 week to be like, yeah, you're my new head coach. It's going to be your career, what you've done, your track record, and what that's all led up to.
There you go. Any of these guys could potentially be our next head coach. So we'll definitely be keeping eyes on the coaches as they go forward. So thank you, Bobby. Appreciate it. Next, we've got Ross Morrow, a.k.a. Ross Morrow 10, who asked the question. Should the Chargers draft the best available player at pick 13 in the draft, or pick a weak area like OL, CB, or DE? Telesco has been known for picking the best player on the board. Keep up the great work. You guys are my favorite podcast to listen to.
Thanks, Ross.
Thank you,
we
Ross.
Appreciate it, brother.
Love it.
Yeah, dude. I think there's so much pressure on getting protection for Herbert. Telesco's always been pick the best available, but you got to pick the best available offensive lineman that's on the board. Not just the overall best available, get the best offensive lineman for Herbert. That's my point of view, at least.
Right.
We can't go any more years without, what was the last O-line we picked in the first round was a DJ Fluker. You see how that worked out. Like he's not guaranteed to pick somebody good, but I think you need to look at offensive line.
Yeah. We're beyond best available. We're to win now.
Right.
We're not in the stage of creating a team and building a roster. We're win now. You have your quarterback. That's what the first round is for. It's for if you need a quarterback, get your quarterback in the first round. And I just feel like right now where our roster's at, where our team's at, we need a guy that's going to help right now. What's the most beneficial for our roster to win more games next year? Not looking 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Right. We need an offensive lineman. Bottom line, you haven't drafted an offensive lineman in the first round. Your whole tenure as a Chargers GM, it's time. It's time to take that chance.
It's. I know that Telesco is known for picking the best available player, but I think you're 100% right. We need to focus on where we are the weakest, where we need the most help, and spend the first round on that kind of talent. And honestly, we might see something crazy this year like we did last year where we traded, our third pick for a first round, our third round for a first round. Like we might have 2 first round pick. Who knows what's going to happen? We might even trade up to get something higher. I've seen, possibilities of us trading up to get Penny, moving all the way up because we want him that badly because he would be that much that imperative to have on that line, especially to work with Herbert again. So who knows what's going to happen? But to state the fact that yes, I think we need to focus on our weaknesses more than anything else so that we can get these guys first to the playoffs and then potentially to the Super Bowl. Excellent. Thank you, Ross. Next, we've got Bria 1968, a.k.a. CZ Bria 1968, who asked the question,
should our strength and conditioning coaches be evaluated? And how does a team go about changing such a group?
I like John a lot, but I don't know, dude. A lot of injuries. How do you, where do you point the finger on that? Should we do more yoga? Is there need to be more flexibility? It's just such an arbitrary thing, these injuries.
Right.
Kyle, do you really think there's an element of these coaches not getting these guys in the right shape and that's why they're getting hurt?
I have no idea. Unless you know the exact program that they're on and what they're going through, I don't know. It seems to be we've gone through different strength and conditioning coaches and it's still a constant with the Chargers. I have no idea. I don't know what to blame. It'd be nice to blame it on that, but I don't know if you can.
It's hard to blame injuries on the strength and conditioning coach. You say that well, that's your job, is to make sure they're strong and conditioned and ready to go out and play. But I mean,
you can still get hurt.
You can still get hurt. Some of the injuries that we see are those non-contact injuries. And it's just I think that was with Derwin. He didn't hit anybody, it snapped. It
came up late. Yeah.
So that's not necessarily anybody's fault. And if anything, it's kind of impressive. Anybody that follows John Lott's Twitter to see the regimen that Derwin is going through to get back and get healthy again. That is more inspiring. I mean, shoot, Austin Eckler, spent the better part of the season injured, but came back and still played him. And they gave him the ball, they fed him the ball. It never felt like limited snaps. So if anything, that's a testament to keeping him around. But yeah, that's what I'm saying is they're putting him on the right regimens to get these guys as healthy as possible. And when injuries happen, they just happen. It's nobody's fault per se. It's just whatever happens. It's the risk of playing football. You're potentially going to get injured. And for our organization, it just seems to happen more often than not, unfortunately.
Well, I think going back to the question, I think this year could be a year that you would do that change. When you bring in a head coach, a lot changes.
That's true.
He might bring in new nutritionists. He might bring in new strength and conditioning. He might do a lot of new things. So, I don't know what that would do with you're rehabbing Derwin, and then all of a sudden John Lott's all right, dude, later. You bring in some other guy to pick it up. I don't know how that all works. It's got to be complicated. I think you'd want to be as smooth of a transition as possible, but we'll see.
We will. I think those are great points. So, thank you, Brea. Appreciate it. Next, we've got JP, AK Jesse O, who asked the question. Shoot. Since today might have been Phil's last game, can you guys talk about what you guys liked about Phil and any favorite moments? I mean, Dadgummit, let me hear your best Rivers voice. That's
Nice.
as good as it's gonna get.
Solid. I like it. It's a good Rivers. I just loved him, dude. He was my quarterback. Like
Forever.
He was just my quarterback. When I really got into the Chargers, he was my quarterback, and he's been like that forever. And he's the guy you side with. He doesn't cuss. But he still trash talks. And I just loved everything about it. He worked hard, and you could see it. The guys around him loved him, and I think it's kind of a recent one. There's a lot of things like him getting into it with Jay Cutler was a pretty amazing moment. But I think there's one specific one that I loved so much. It was when it was the Baltimore playoff game and he made a run and got the first down and got up.
Keenan
and then
was yelling at him.
Yeah. And he did like the delayed like first down arm. Like he just he just milked that moment. And that was great, man. And he brought me so much happiness and joy. I hope he's not done because I think I want him to be the last surviving of that 2004 draft class, because that would be pretty sweet. Because Big Ben is looking pretty big, and
what a little whiner Big Ben is on the bench crying. Come on, dude! You didn't see Phil over there crying on the bench because
you see him crying in
last game
in his post-conference interviews when he's talking about how much he loves
that's
his
being raw.
teammates.
Yeah, he's just
I'm not
raw on how much.
I'm not taking a shot. I love him. I was just making a joke.
Those are all great moments. Phil playing on a blown up knee in the playoffs, trying to gut it out. Him sitting there signing every person's asking for signatures in the last game at the queue. There's just too much, dude. Every Sunday was sitting there watching him, knowing he's going to show up and never miss a game. Phil's the man.
I think for me, my favorite moments are anytime he gets mic'd up, because that's when you hear who he is. I mean, when you watch on TV, you don't always, especially if there's a crowd, you definitely don't get to hear what these quarterbacks are saying. And so just to hear him go, "Hey, Greg, third down," or the what was that was 90-yard touchdown. I mean, those are great. I think those will just always be gold. I could listen to that as like a music mixtape. I hope somebody does like a DJ, techno mix of Phillip Rivers and just some of his juiciest little tidbits. Hopefully it's not his last. I would like to continue to see him play because he was the one guy to root for in these playoffs, and now that he's knocked out, I mean, I just don't want Kansas City to win. So Browns beat Kansas City like you beat Pittsburgh. Pretty pleased.
Come on, Browns.
Thank you, JP. And Karen kind of tacked onto that saying that I do a really good Phillip voice. Boy, I don't think so, but thank you, Karen. I really appreciate you and everything you do for this organization. Next, we've got Chimney Crickets, a.k.a. I Got Boots, who asked the question.
Let me just ask you this. If we get the right coach in place, do you think with our roster that 2021 will be a Super Bowl year?
I don't see why not.
I don't see why not. If you have a quarterback, you have a chance. That's what everyone always says. And I saw this Twitter question a little ahead of time, so I did a little research. Ooh. So there's first year coaches who reached the Super Bowl. I've got 5 guys here. So we got George Seifert for the 49ers back in the 80s. I believe he was part of those teams that we had trouble with when we went to the Super Bowl. Don McCaffrey. So these are some older guys. So it hasn't happened too recently. Don McCafferty, who would replace Don Shula on the Dolphins. You got Red Miller, this is the 70s back in the Broncos. You got we're going deep here. The most recent one it looks like is Jim Caldwell for the Colts back in the 2018 season. So when they went to the Super Bowl, didn't win, but went to the Super Bowl. So I think there's some precedent there. It's not, we need everything, to win a Super Bowl, you need to have everything aligned.
Right.
You need to get the things to go your way. You need to have those bad calls not go against you. You need to have you guys not get hurt. Like it's got to have this perfect alignment. And who's to say we can't perfectly align what we need in 6 months time and start a run. That's why I love following the Chargers, because there's that opportunity. Everyone's got a chance, especially now that we got Justin and we can start giving him the stuff he needs to excel.
Mm-hmm. I think for us, the biggest piece of that is that we're in the AFC West and we go up against Kansas City at least twice a year. So that's always just kind of gives you a hint as to what our team is capable of, going up against what were, at least last year, the Super Bowl champs, potentially could be this year as well. I don't want it, but it's potential. So, I mean, we're in such a tough division, and especially now with Mahomes, signing the 10-year contract with Kansas City, and I don't know how long Andy Reid's going to be there, but I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. So those two big pieces for that team, I think, are really tell the success of that team. The Chargers got to be able to at least beat that team. So, I mean, obviously
How much is Justin Herbert about to get paid, boys?
Dude.
Oh, dude, he will.
Yeah.
He will.
Dear God, we got to make it work in these next 4 years, or else it's gonna come.
Right.
It's that $400 billion contract.
It's going to be huge. So everybody needs to act with purpose. Act like he got somewhere to be, and let's get this guy. Let's get some wins. Let's get to the Super Bowl. Pretty please. I would love to see that. So thank you, Chimney. Appreciate it. And last but not least, we've got Super Bolts Z34, who asks the question. Bros, I should have asked a question before the pod, but can you ask Kyle, how does he feel about the second time around head coach Jason Garrett? Ha, 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 ha. Let's just trust Dean for this one, not to F us up on that one. As always, keep on bolting.
I think we're gonna have to vote. That might be one of the top 3 voices you do. I really love hearing that.
It's so fun.
So
That's
good,
such
dude.
a fun.
Sorry, Kyle.
All I have to say is anytime Dean Spanos say he's going to be more involved, I don't get excited. That doesn't bring comfort and confidence to my thought process about how things are going to go. If anything, I'm like, how about you just take your sons out of the whole picture and yourself, and let Telesco just pick the head coach and see how it goes. Because you've been the only constant behind us never winning a Super Bowl. So I don't know. The idea of a second time around head coach, I'm okay with it.
I don't hate it.
I would never be okay with it. We'll have to see. You're taking like I said earlier, we're taking a risk no matter what. If that interview that you have and you talk with him and you do some background and get some references and blah, 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 and everything seems to check out and you're willing to take the risk, I'm not going to be like, I can't agree with this. I won't support the Chargers.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see.
Yeah, we're not willing it, but we're not totally against it. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. So thank you, Super Bolts. Thank you to all of you that came out and asked us on Twitter. We really appreciate it. And we will make our way out of this episode with a fan focus. Who do we have this week, Kev?
Well, we have Braden from Pennsylvania. The streak of Charger fans not in Southern California continues.
Love it.
And this week it's with Braden. All right, we're here with a special guest. Our next fan focus is Braden from Pennsylvania. Thanks for coming on, Braden.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Awesome. So, all right, well, Pennsylvania, Charger fan. How did you become a Charger fan in Pennsylvania?
Well, I'm a Philly sports fan, just with basketball, hockey, baseball. But my dad wasn't really ever he didn't really have a team. He kind of liked the Raiders growing up, but never really had a team. And then married my stepmom, became an Eagles fan. So I was like, I didn't really like the Eagles. I don't know. I don't know why, but so I just was kind of a free agent. And then that was around, I don't know, mid 2000s. So LT, Rivers, Gates. I mean, it just kind of, powder blue jerseys. I was like, just something clicked. I was like, that's my team.
It's amazing how the powder blues, they're so underrated because like when you're kind of looking at all the jerseys next to each other, you're like, you know what? I think I could buy a couple of those and look pretty nice in those.
Exactly. I just got my the new Bosa one.
Nice.
Powder blue, yeah.
Oh man, I'm still waiting. I'm still like trying to find a Herbert jersey. It's just physically not possible right now. So hopefully they mass produce a whole bunch of really good ones, but we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. I ended up customizing a white one. It's my favorite jersey right now.
Love it. All right, man. Well, let's kind of get into it. So now that the season is over, what has been the most memorable thing for you?
Honestly, just the feeling of how worried I was going into this season. Not that I don't like Tyrod. It's just you knew that wasn't going to be our guy for years to come.
Wasn't permanent.
Obviously, with drafting Herbert.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like I was so worried about like how it was going to go, if Herbert was going to work out. I mean, I had faith in him, but it's just like I had no idea we were going to get what we got this season. It's like, the season kind of stunk, but I mean, as far as like the heartbreaking losses and stuff like that, but I'm psyched going into next season. I mean, getting a new coach. I mean, hopefully Herbert balls out just as much as he did this season. So
yeah, for sure. There's a lot of hope, dude. And I think a lot of people share that sentiment where came in kind of uncertain first year without Phil. And now we have this new stud and he's just so fun to watch. And and now you can see the kind of shift in, and I think if maybe Tyrod if he would have played, who knows what would have happened with Lynn? Like they're clearly, he's a racehorse and we need to have a jockey that can hang on. And I don't think Lynn was that guy. So you can see now that he came out and balled out, like the organization's shifting a lot of stuff to make it about him. So that's kind of exciting.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, this team last season, I mean, that was easily a 10 to 11 win season 10 to 11 win season if we could have just closed out some games. And that's what like made me the most, mad or whatever. It's like, you look at the record and it just, definitely didn't. Yeah, we would have just closed out some games, but going into next season, I got all the hope in the world. So
absolutely. Well, speaking of going into next season, this is kind of a crazy time. You're not usually waiting to find out who your new head coach is going to be, and I'm sure they'll make a decision very soon. With that being said, what's your preference for next head coach?
I got to tell you, man, Jason Garrett or Adam Gase are my two number.
Oh, God. What have you done?
No, I thought about it, and I know what the Bills offensive coordinator, everybody's pretty high on him. I don't have a preference per se. I know you guys have been talking about, we'd like to see someone with head coaching experience, and I kind of agree with that. I mean, I have faith that they will choose the right guy, and we'll see who they go with. But yeah, I'm not too sure. Do you have any,
It's hard to say right now with like how everything's going and shaking up and coaches are in playoffs and they can't be interviewed. Like we're interviewing a lot. I wasn't expecting to go out and interview 12 coaches. So at this point, I have no idea. Like the fact that we're even talking about Jason Garrett is like, what the hell's going on? So
yeah, I saw that. It was like the same day, right? Lynn gets let go and you're like, okay, yes. And then Jason Garrett's like, no.
I know.
What are we doing?
What's happening? So it's just such a crapshoot. It's exciting. We're going to find out. I think the big thing that realizing that they're letting go most of that coaching staff. So, what coach said in previous episodes, like you better pick a guy that can bring in people that want to coach for him. Like that's as big as anything. So it's going to be crazy to see who they pick and who wants to come join them and be on this staff.
I mean, that and I know everybody, the Chargers job and the Jags job is like the two that everybody's like, yeah, these are ideal coaching situations that you would want to go to. I mean, if it's me, I'd rather go to the Chargers, LA, Herbert, you don't got to worry. I mean, I don't think Lawrence is going to be a bust or anything, but you already have a lot of established players, Bosa, Keenan, Mike Williams, it's just, you got to finish out games basically is the one thing that we couldn't do this past season. And
if I'm a coach, I want the best toolbox, and right now we have one of the best toolboxes in the league with all these guys that we have. So it's exciting. We'll see what happens, man. It's going to be a crazy week or two. So
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to see who they pick. I mean,
100%, man. So, all right. Well, hey, Braden, we appreciate you coming on. Thanks for joining us, man. It was nice having you.
yeah, good talking to you, man.
Absolutely.
I love listening to the podcast, and yeah, keep it up.
All right, man. We're not going anywhere. We'll be here.
Awesome. Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye, bro. Bye.
Awesome. Thank you, Braden. Man, always just great to hear that we've got fans outside of California. Like, we are so spread apart
awesome.
and sprinkled across not just the country, but the world. Like, that just rocks to me. I love hearing that.
LT was the biggest attractor of fans, I think, is what the conclusion after the season of Fan Focuses is that our whole fan base is based on LaDainian Tomlinson.
For sure. Or the powder blue jersey. It's kind of one or the other.
Freaking hot. They are so hot.
They're pretty dope. Everyone looks good in those jerseys. Doesn't matter who you are.
Even me. Even I look good in those jerseys. So
you look good in all jerseys, Bulldog.
You crazy kid. All right. So yeah, if anybody ever wants to reach out to us on Ask Twitter, we are Charger Chat Pod on Twitter. And if you ever want to be a Fan Focus, hit up my man Huggin. What's the email address there?
Yeah, the chargerchat@yahoo.com. And also, if you guys want, hop on over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. We make videos and put stuff up other than just the episode. So subscribe if you can. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah, for those of you who haven't been to our YouTube channel or don't make it past the end of the episodes, you might not know about McVeigh Rose or Anthony, what was the Anthony Lynn one? The Lynn Depends. You might not know about Lynn Depends. So that's an award-winning commercial over there on YouTube.
Or what I would recommend is you go back in time and you go to one of our first videos. It's Christmas Time in Hell by Adam Woolley after last season's debacle.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
We definitely have fun over on YouTube. And it's another avenue. If that's your method of choice to listen to the podcast, know that is available to check it out. But we will continue to do these episodes. This was a kind of a bulky one. Obviously, this was our first chance to talk about Lynn getting fired, and we've had plenty to say about it. We'll see what happens in the upcoming episodes. Hopefully, we find out who our head coach is going to be in the not-too-distant future. That would be pretty sweet. So until then, that's going to do it for us here at Charger Chat. Don't forget to bolt up because we're ready for any squad, any place.
Okay, love you, bye.
Okay, love you, bye.
Okay, love you, bye. And now, a word from our sponsors.
Tell me something, sports fans. Have you ever found yourself wanting to express something to a friend or loved one, and you just don't know how to do it? Sure, you could go old-fashioned with a greeting card and a hearty handshake, but what's the fun in that? You, my friend, need to call Jalen, Guyton, Skywriting. They're the only joint in town to get across that special message to someone in the biggest way possible. Things like, will you marry me? Happy birthday. And my personal favorite, sorry I was thinking about how I was about to fling the ball to my folks sitting like row 15 and forgot to catch. Trust me, friend, you'll get the point across toot sweet. So call today to reserve your special message for that special someone at Jalen, Guyton, Skywriting.